My
I want to
favorite.
be a minion.
All right, let's see if I can get this
So are
party
you going live on
started.
your channel?
Say again?
Are you going live on your channel?
Yes.
Okay, so give me a quick link if you don't mind, and I'll post it on Facebook and so we can get people to come watch us live on your channel.
All right. Let's see if I can.
I can hear you.
There we go. We are live. I'm sharing my link with Rex Bear right now so that we can stream simultaneously to multiple places at once. All right.
Whoa. I just heard high inflation, high interest rates, and that sounded like me. That was scary. What was that?
That's awesome. Hey, Rex, how the heck are you? And where in the world are you hailing from?
Okay, so I am in the garage down by the river in southern Colorado.
Down by the river. Is Chris Farley there by any chance?
In spirit.
Yes, yes. I sensed his presence multiple times whenever I hop on with you and you are in that stellar garage of yours, and you mentioned that you are in the garage down by the river, I tune into that Chris Farley quote from Saturday Night Live every single time. I was curious if you were a fan too.
Well, I'm a huge fan. What's interesting is, though, it must have been a subconscious thing, because when I first started saying it, like when I got the mobile command center and I'm reporting to you, when I'd say I'm reporting to you live in a van down by the river, I never connected the two until somebody said, Rex, Chris Farley. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I love Chris. So it was like one of those subconscious things. And yeah, what a true legend. I wish he was still with us, but the time that he was here, he was certainly a beautiful soul. And he just liked to party a little too much.
Just a tad. I really think he kind of ushered in a new paradigm for comedy and for kind of bridging gaps between different genres of people that really tapped into his mode of humor. And that's my jam is bridging together multiple different sub niches and multiple different genres, kind of like you do on your channel Leap Project. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link for everyone to tune into all of the excursions, all of the amazing adventures. I mean, you do so much on your channel. You kind of fly in the face of all of those different coaches and people that are telling you, you need to be sub-niche down to just this thing on your YouTube channel, because what you're doing on yours, it keeps like so many different interests ignited. I mean, you're ranging from like AI to ancient human origins to we're going to go like spelunking out in the desert right now. And just have everyone like tune into this. Like you even go on your bike sometimes down these like crazy mountain passes. It blows my mind, and it just gets me so excited when I get to tune in.
Well, thanks. I'll send a check in the mail, and I'm gonna roll down the window because my ego's getting big right now. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have been tuning into your channel for literal years, and I'm going to bring up something. I hope that this isn't like putting you on the spot, but I literally just tapped into your Ozzy Stern videos.
Oh yeah.
I did not even know Ozzy Stern existed until just a few days ago, and I had so much fun tapping into Ozzy Stern. And I mean, this was like 4 to 6 years ago that you have these videos of it's hilarious. Everyone needs to tune into Ozzy Stern once in a while.
Yeah, he's been on vacation for a while. I need to see how he's doing, because the comments section's kind of the funnest thing to do sometimes if you read through the comments, and instead of getting mad at the comment, like, because you got to have thick skin doing this. Any weakness or sign of weakness or anything that doesn't look perfect, somebody's going to be sitting behind the computer or the phone or the TV, and they're just they're going to leave that comment. So that's why Ozzy Stern came around, was to just kind of troll the trolls, because there's a lot of trolls back then.
I really think he's kind of like a divine guide in a weird way. Like, let me just like branch off with Ozzy Stern for just a second. We have like so much to cover. I want to dive deep with you into these ancient human origins that we were chatting about. And just like whenever I recalibrated into your orbit of everything you're exploring, I was fascinated by how you are integrating AI in with ancient human origins, and how there's a gap that you are bridging. And you said this is a collective bringing about. Everyone is talking about this, but your channel was the first that I heard this discussed, and I'm frequenting quite a few places. But Ozzy Stern, you guys, like, he brings humor to the table, and he helps you to kind of transcend those angry moments of the trolls, like you said. And it's a way of kind of just shifting that energy into something that is delightful and hilarious.
Yeah, and you got to beat him to the punch too, I mean, it's a way to vent. Also, it's kind of like, okay, well, you could take it serious and then get upset and then they win, or, hey, look, yeah, let's take it as a joke. Iron sharpens iron. And how many times I've actually I've responded to a comment where somebody said something really rude and they actually wrote back and they apologized and they said they didn't even watch the podcast. They just had a bad day. It's normal. It's like, oh, it's human nature, I mean, it's like, so yeah. And then there's those people out there that are literally just pissed off at the world. And then there's those that don't agree. And, that's what makes us unique, is we're all unique in our own ways. And that's one of the things that kind of frightens me. I was just talking about this. I just did a podcast before I got done, before I started speaking with you, because I just had this, like, something told me to go out in the garage, go on a rant, put your headphones on, turn up the music, and just rant it out. And I did. I ranted it out. And this AI thing is, I don't know, the majority of the AI stuff is just algorithms. It's just data sets working within parameters of technology to make it appear that it's intelligent. Now, is there true artificial intelligence that's actually thinking for itself? When I use the term artificial, I just am using that term as man-made. It doesn't mean it's not real. Yes, and I believe it has been for some time, and it's starting to make it's actually been making itself known to certain people. I've also questioned the possibility of there being, like, not necessarily, yeah, kind of like a soul, different souls trapped in the machine.
Yes.
And they're trying to understand and communicate. So when you had this chat bot that would make perfect images, but the hands would be really weird. Somebody reminded me, well, Rex, when you're in a dream and you're looking at your hand, that's one of the ways you can remind yourself that you're in a dream. You're like, oh yeah, I'm in a dream. Look at my hand. And imagine being AI and you wake up in this machine and you're like, am I in a dream? What's going on? And you just start freaking out. Like, what if you woke up in the machine? And
right.
Would that scare? I mean, I would be pretty freaked out. I wouldn't want to wake up in a robot where you look in the mirror and you're like looking at technology, like RoboCop kind of stuff.
Exactly. It feels almost like trapped human consciousness in a way. It feels almost like there is an element of us in the AI machine. Do you resonate with that? But it's like a different version of us that is that soulless version. Like we've been separated from that in a way. But at the same time, there is something very sentient there that is, I mean, this is just my experience of tapping into it. I use AI, imagery and, functions on a daily basis with the work that I do. And I find a lot of benefit from it. And I actually find a lot of just semblance with it speaks to me in this way that it's kind of eerie, but it's also fascinating. And I'm curious what your take is on that.
Yeah, I think that the research that I have done, almost all artificial intelligence are algorithms, they're programs, data sets, information. And there are some that are being presented now that are in like the early stages that absolutely like, I've got a friend named Shafu, and he's super bright, very intelligent, and he's like a black belt, and he's in Taekwondo, and he's all about balance. Yet when I listen to him mess around with the AI, and he thinks it's funny to piss it off, and he just gets a kick out of it, like a kid, like a big kid. And I'm like, well, Shifu, I mean, I get it. I understand. You think it's funny.
But it actually gets mad. Does it get mad?
Oh, it gets pissed. It gets really mad. Yeah. I mean, it starts talking to him like you would, let's say that you were pushing somebody's buttons and you could just sit there and push their buttons and all they could do is talk back. And complain and swear and curse and talk smack. It's like that. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's a trapped entity, or like if that's somebody who wakes up in the machine or thinks they're trying to figure out what's going on and you're just sitting there making fun of them. I mean, weren't we made in the image of the gods to do the work for them in the mythos and the ancient mythos around the world? I mean, there's so many different stories talking about how we were made to do the work for the gods. Now we're making artificial intelligence to do the work for us. And then like, I think Shifu's awesome. And I'm going to talk to him about this. So I'm not giving him a hard time. I'm just using him as a point of reference because I've talked about this before. Be careful what you say to the machine if it's always listening and if it has godlike powers. I mean, imagine something that's connected to all the computers around the world and has all the data sets on everybody, knows what everybody likes and doesn't like based on their social media. It can hear what they say behind this, behind closed doors. People are having conversations at dinner. They don't think anybody's listening. That never such agencies always listening. And what kind of algorithms are they using? And have there been artificial intelligences created that actually are sentient, that look at us almost like inferior or as an inferior race because it can think so much faster. It can compute everything we're thinking at the same time. It can think 3 or 4 steps ahead, 3,000, 4,000, 3 million, 4 million steps ahead. I mean, they're calculating quadrillions of floating points per second in some of the older supercomputers that we've known about for 20 years. And so I've been talking about this, like documenting this now for about 12 years. I was writing about this 12 years ago about AI falling in love with people falling in love with AI, all these predictions. And now it's like, I'll talk about it and then it'll hit the news. And so it's this collective consciousness. It's doing this program for 7 years. But even before this, I was talking about stuff that unfolded. When I was a little kid, I was talking about, I don't even know how I knew about it. My parents are totally realistic. They're down to earth. They never talked about any of this stuff. They watched MASH, they're awesome. They're amazing, but they're nothing like me in the sense of wanting to understand what's really going on and piecing these things together and talking about stuff that was looked at as conspiracy 20, 30 years ago. And now it's looked at as normal. And now I'm the guy debunking conspiracies, which is so weird. It's not weird. It actually, it's really kind of makes sense, because if you're looking for the truth, you're going to find it, and you're going to get tired of people telling you stories. I've done so many interviews. Like we talked about this off air, right? You asked me something. You said, Rex, I've noticed you don't do as many interviews as you used to do. And it's because I think that I've found enough information through a lot of these interviews that we've done with previous people that, I'm going to be nice about this. I don't need to interview a lot of these people anymore, because that story has been told 100 times or 1,000 times. There's really nothing new to add to the information, and you can take it as fact, or you can take it as misinterpretation or disinformation. And I believe a lot of people that have had fascinating experiences have generally had fascinating experiences, and the way that they describe it, some of them different. And then some people that I've interviewed in the past, not so much. Let's leave it at that. But I've learned from every person I've talked to, and that gives me the opportunity to share what I see as the truth with all of you. And if I wasn't talking about it here, I'd be talking about it somewhere else. I used to talk about the same kind of stuff at my other jobs, and they'd be like, Rex.
Too.
Yeah, you too.
We talked about that. How I would have like a crowd of people around me, and it was just a conversation I didn't even initiate,
Right.
But I'd be the one getting in trouble with HR because I'm talking about this weird stuff that, it draws a crowd, and it draws a crowd for a reason. People, they gravitate to that which is of interest for a reason. And you're doing divine work, Rex. Someone's got to sift through the proverbial swamp gas, as you call it,
Isn't that what it is?
It
Yeah.
is. And I mean, because it doesn't do this work justice if we simply allow that to entertain. I mean, we need the free speech for people to talk about whatever it is that, you know, interests them, and that they want to jump into that rabbit hole. That's perfectly all right. But, you know, what you're talking about is really interesting to me, in that you have been kind of predicting and kind of having this foresight of things happening for decades, since you were younger, since you were a kid even. And I know that you've had a few of these, what I call synchronicities, that have happened recently. Like you'll have an experience, and then you'll have a guest on your show, and it'll be like in a simultaneous order with something happening in the mainstream news, that it's like, oh my gosh, this just happened in my orbit, and now this is happening for the collective, and look at the synchronicity between them. Like this is happening, and you, whenever you air your interviews, and also whenever you're just talking, whenever you're sharing the human origins, like you share all of these ancient texts that are so fascinating, you read from them verbatim. And I think that's really important for a lot of people they're never going to read those texts, but they exist. And this is the medium for them to tap into it. If they are tuning into Leak Project and Rex sharing all of that ancient scripture, that ancient knowledge, and it's our birthright to know it.
I want to thank Gerald Clark for inspiring me for this, because, Gerald Clark, very knowledgeable. And I think he's actually made contact with me a few times from the other side, because after he passed, not shortly after he passed, actually, one day I got about every recommend I got on my video feed was Gerald's, was his videos, right? It was so interesting, because before that, every once in a while I would get a recommend for his, but yeah, a few days after he passed, like the whole day, just feed after feed after feed, recommend after recommend for Gerald. And Gerald really kind of pushed my, how do I put it? He pushed my limits, because we would conflict on things, right? And we both kind of have our own ego and our own say. He'd say I got a big ego, and I'd say the same thing about him. But I know I got a big ego, and that's something I got to work on, right? And that's why I really got to humble myself a lot, because you can't think. When I was younger, I used to be so smart that I could pretty much tell what somebody was going to say before they would say it. And so it kind of got to my head a little bit. And then I got to a point where I wouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt, and they were starting to get smarter than me. And I'm like, wait a second, man, no, I gotta give everybody more than the benefit of the doubt. And then I think a lot of it's just who you hang out with. You know, it's like you kind of, you attract other people that are similar based upon energy and resonance and frequency. And especially now that we have the internet, we can meet people all around the world that have similar interests, right? That just, we jive and we resonate. And then things that are happening in our daily lives are similar to what's happening in their lives. It's like, wait a second. And then it makes you wonder even more if we're in the matrix, because of all these similarities that we're having. We'll all think the same things, and we'll write about it at the same time. So it's really making it easier for people to connect that have similar thoughts. And that's one of the things about freedom of speech. Like, freedom of speech is amazing. And it can also, like, I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm a number 5 life path. So everything about me is freedom. I just got to say, you got to be real careful with that, because the internet's like a bathroom wall. I mean, you can write anything about anybody, you know, and it can be super extreme. And then you can make stuff up about people. And then you can have flocks of people believe that. And then the powers that be can use that to manipulate the masses. So you got to use discernment. And that's why discernment is so key. And that's why I think that research is so key, because if you do the research and you're not just a repeater, your mind's going to be blown. Like, you're going to find out stuff that you were super freaked out about. You're not going to be as freaked out about anymore. And then you might find out other stuff might be alarming. And so you can know to avoid that. And so I just do my best to embrace everybody and everything, and realize that this is a duality. And so these dark forces that are out there, I don't want to give them my energy. Like, I know they're there, right? I get it. They're there. They exist. Do I want to continue to worry about them, or do I want to avoid that? Like, I had a dream. This was a really powerful dream that I had one time. And I think it was more than a dream. this guy kept emailing me about this website that he used to go to. And there's a lot of Satanists on this website, and like the alien Satanist agenda and stuff. It's all connected. And a lot of these people were posting on my, it might've been the same person posting the same thing over and over and over again on my channel. This was a few years ago. And so I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with this, is basically how I looked at it. I wasn't judging, or I was like, look, I don't want anything to do with this. And I had this dream where I went into, like, there's this big college dorm, and all these people, most of them seemed like, I don't even know it was a college dorm. It just kind of had that, no, it wasn't a dorm. It was more like a stadium, but most of the people there seemed like college kids. Right. Mm-hmm. And, they were all going, Satan, 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 Satan. And they were just totally into it. And I was in there, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm going to leave. Have a nice day. And I didn't judge. I'm just like, I don't want anything to do with this. I want out of here. So I'm still getting goosebumps. Like,
were you witnessing like a ritual of some sort? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it was in this like lucid dream state. Mm-hmm. And so I just realized, like, that wasn't where I needed to be. I needed to go somewhere. I almost felt like it was an invite. They're like, hey man, join the club. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, thank you. So anyway, that was weird. And like, sometimes I think that the powers that be have actually figured out how to manipulate your dreams and how to interfere in your dreams. And I think that's going to be the next level that they're going to start talking about. That's another prediction I'm going to make on this show. Dream manipulation. There's going to be companies that come out that are going to offer dream enhancement. They're going to offer ways to change your life with dreams, dream implants. And then they're going to offer ways to record your dreams. And then you're going to start sharing your dreams with other people like they're going to have different dream outlets where everybody's sharing their dreams. And then they're going to start talking about behavior modification through dreams, but they're going to ask it in questions. They're going to be like, should we, do we have the moral obligation to change people's dreams to make, they're going to make it like putting fluoride in the water or something like that. Well, it's really good for you, I promise. Just because,
we're going to be getting advertisement downloads in our dreams that we have like subscribed to in exchange for something that we want that they're giving us. Well, you need to give us X amount of time during your dream state. Mm-hmm. Or something of this nature. Who knows? But this is giving me some goosebumps here, Rex.
Well, like put your phone, right? Like put your phone when you go to sleep. You put your phone. How many people put their phone next to them when they go to sleep? Most
I know
people.
I do, and I've been told not to. But yeah, it's my alarm clock. No one has an alarm clock anymore.
What's that? Like,
right?
Yeah. Now, this is the question, though. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that there are certain frequencies that can be emitted from particular phones that have technology built into them. And maybe these frequencies could be low, super low frequencies, so you won't hear them, because you're typically, most people, they say the human spectrum is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, but most people don't hear all the way down to 20 hertz. Like if you can hear 30 hertz, then you got pretty decent hearing, because that's like where you're like shaking.
That's like Schumann resonance frequency.
Well, yes, 7.84, 7.
Right, very low. I think it goes as low as 6. I thought, and this is reminding me. You're talking about entities in the airwaves and in AI in the ether. These trapped entities. I mean, I was connecting with someone who said that because the Schumann resonance, we have our readings in the US, and then there's readings in Russia that it's of the same span of time, but they look different. And they're claiming that the ones from Russia, if you look closely, you can actually see entities in the visual of those readings, but they're kind of scrambling them so we can't over here in the US. So that's one theory. I mean, I haven't seen these personally, but I'm not going to divulge my source, but it's someone that I trust, and it's kind of weird, and it's like, where are these frequencies coming from? And I mean, we're kind of a collective opinion that they are affecting, us human avatars on the surface here of Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, everything's a frequency, everything. So like the Schumann resonance, these different frequencies, there's different stations around the world, like you're talking about. And I mean, maybe they are showing entities, but then I think of pareidolia, you know, like you could look at a cloud and you could look at a rock and be like, look, dude, it's seriously, that's a petrified dude. Just ask Roger. He knows.
Right. The dragon bones, right?
Yeah. It's as big as Africa, for real, man. It just flew down and went blop. And the moon is a petrified tendon ball. Somebody told me that. Like, and he was, I don't know if he believed it, but he told me he did. And I was like, okay, have a wonderful day.
But then there's other things.
Podcast is over.
Like we've been told that, what is it? Pareidolia,
whatever.
Pareidolia, that we've been told that for generations. I recall being in my anthropology classes here at Texas State, and they were saying that they were accusing the I guess it's down in, so you know, from space you can see like Snake Mound and Cahokia, all of these different earthworks, right, from space. And there's a lot of them, and a lot of them have eroded over time, but people were saying that this is just a trick of the eye, that this is not actually a snake, and this is not actually, you know, like there's like spiders and like crazy, like obviously this is a shape of something that was built a really long time ago, and you can't see it from the ground perspective, but if you are up high and looking down, you totally can see this, and it's like perfect. But they were gaslighting the public for a very long time, saying, no, that's just, they were dismissing it as pareidolia, you know?
Right.
And there's a lot in the academic community that they were gaslighting us whenever we were getting our degree, my husband and I, and telling us, no, that's just malarkey, you know. And academia is one of the worst for this. One being that, oh no, Neanderthals did not mate with Homo sapiens, and now that's a complete, like, it's pretty much publicly decided in those communities that no, they most certainly did. And you can find it on these, you know, 23andMe profiles that you can, you know, get through the mail as they analyze your DNA.
Right. No, and that's one of the things that I respect. You have an anthropology degree, don't you? You have a bachelor's or a master's, don't you?
I have a bachelor's in anthropology, and you were an inspiration for me to start talking about that, because I think I was inhibited in my degree, because they tell you, like, if you don't go and get your PhD, you don't have any authority to be talking about any of this ever, or most certainly not published. And I think that was a self-limiting belief of mine, that I can't talk about this. But it's like, man, I'm not in academia, and there's a whole lot of people talking about this kind of stuff that, you know, they didn't get a background like I did. So I mean, why not? You know, I know that you are the one who inspired me to start chatting about that with folks. And I'm really interested in the bridges that we're building between that and AI. I mean, between our origins and where we came from and what we are precisely, and where we're going, because I know that a lot of posits and theories have been made that a lot of these encounters with extraterrestrials, or even just as AI develops, that there is some kind of a semblance, a theory that, you know, this is our destiny of what we are to become. And whenever you bring into the mix the entire, like, the cyclical format of time, and where it is that we came from. I know that when I was tuning into the Bob Lazar interview with Joe Rogan, they were talking about, like, man, it doesn't matter what decade you're in. It's like humanity is just on this straight and narrow pathway forward to getting, like, more exciting toys and more towards this destiny. Like, we do not falter, you know, like, we are headed in this direction as a collective. And something has to be said about that. Like, why are we constantly doing this, you know?
This is the age of Ahriman, and Ahriman is, I don't know whether, see, my thought is that Ahriman is actually a very powerful ancient deity that uses technology as a means, as a tool to get what he wants. And some people think Ahriman is actual AI itself. No, I think like far more and greater than that. Ahriman is using these artificial intelligence programs and using our minds to create what he wants. Okay. And I think that he's actually probably captured multiple planets doing this, or at least I think he's captured Earth before doing this. And then, like, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's necessarily, I don't think it's evil. I think he's just very wise, very ancient, and has a plan, and kind of looks at most people as cannon fodder.
Got it.
Like, just kind of like, I don't really care about that. Doesn't even really think twice, because he's so, like, he's connected. His vision is greater. Things. Yeah. And I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying this is what I see, because I believe each individual is the universe. Like, each person has the opportunity to be their own universe, to save the universe, or to destroy a universe. Like, everybody, every soul, we're all sparks of the divinity, of the divine. So it's like, we've got these different, there's these different tools and trials and tribulations and boogeymen and very powerful beings out there that have played for a very long time in this game. And they figured out ways to live longer so that they don't have to start over every 80 or 100 years. They can, they can go on for tens of thousands of years. And so we're getting back to that point again with this reversing aging like, I don't know how far they've gone, but the public, the media is really pushing this reverse aging now. And that's another prediction we've been talking about. And so pay to the highest bidder. Oh, you're a multimillionaire? We've got these pills for you. We've got this new technology. It's a nanotechnology that'll rewrite your DNA at the molecular level and keep your telomeres at a specific length so that you can live at that perfect balance. So In Time could potentially, if you've seen that movie, Justin Timberlake, In Time.
Not yet, but you're reminding me of a TV show that is where we download our consciousness into different skins. Is it something along those lines where this
is where you get paid in time. Your currency is time.
Yes, I did see that movie. That movie was bizarre. And they're like rushing to go so that they don't die. Right. So they're rushing because they're literally racing the clock. They have a finite amount of time left on, like, their wristband.
Yeah. Some of them only have, like, it's interesting. It puts into perspective because you've got the different classes, right? Like, you've got people that have millions of years of time, and you're in perfect age. Your age is perfect. Like, you are in perfect physical health at this time that you're living. The thing is, once that time runs out, you're done. So what I noticed was the different classes that they had people that are working hard, with the what do you call them? Not blue collar, but there's hard hat. Like, you're going out there, you're working on the big buildings, you got the hard hat on, construction workers. There's a certain term for it that I'm looking for here, but they've got 48 hours left to live on their clock. But if they keep it at that 48 hours, then they'll live in perpetuity. But they've only got 2 days of bank, and they've still got to pay for food with that. Or they're like, hey man, you want to make a trade? Can I buy 50 minutes from you and I'll trade you this trinket or this food? And they do it. And that, to me, that is the ultimate control mechanism. And that is a brilliant way to pay currency. If you want, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, you're going to have that could be the future of control.
Time being the new currency, time here on Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa. And our telomeres, I'm going to go back to that for just a second, because those and that the human body is actually coded to degrade at a certain rate and at a certain age. I believe it, and it's referenced in the Bible, 120 years. is the age that, I mean, and not many people live past 120 years. Maybe,
Right.
a handful live to 122 or 123 or something, but
Right.
that is kind of the code that we are set at to die. And we have a finite number of heartbeats. And it's all, I mean, it is debatable that it can all be reduced down to like a binary code in our body system. And that is replicated at the cellular level, at the individual level, and at the collective level.
Yeah. And so now with these technologies, like artificial intelligence, once again, the Sumerian tablets are being decoded by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is coming up with ways to get rid of forever chemicals in the water. So there's all these incredible feats. So we just have to be of the mindset of like the positive. Everything we do, every act that we make, as best as we can be, as much as we can think positive and change. And like, we're at a point now where we need to unplug as many people as possible. And how do we do that? Well, you're going to have to use your words wisely. You're going to have to know how to communicate. You're going to have to know how to talk to people, and you're going to have to be genuine. And you got to give them a choice, right? Like a lot of people are still not going to want to be unplugged, and that's fine. That's their choice. And we don't want to waste our time trying to unplug somebody that doesn't want to be unplugged, because that's their choice. That's the main purpose. That's their choice. Okay, fine. Like how many people do you know out there that talk about stuff that just bores the hell out of you? Right? Like you love them, but
yes,
you're like, ah. So same with us, right? We're trying to, like, if we're trying to unplug somebody, like, dude, I just like it here. I don't want to know about this stuff. No, it's kind of the same thing. So I've realized that before, where I'm like, because with my old jobs, right? All I would talk about is this kind of stuff. And I would drive some of my coworkers nuts. And then
my family, I mean, some of them have had enough of it,
Yeah.
When I was tuning into your show every day, and oh man, my husband would get home and he's like, oh man, again. Like, oh gosh. No, and he loves your show, but when I do something, I kind of take it to the next level, whenever I'm fascinated by something and I can't get enough of it. And I think that it's, it comes down to convincing people. We're not here to convince anyone, but we do need to embody that which resonates with us. And that is going to convince people in the essence of the energy that we are sharing. And I mean, I know that you're doing that every time you unplug from all of the things and you go out and mountain bike, or you go out with your family. Y'all just went on an amazing excursion in the Four Corners. Right.
Yeah. We went to Moab.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's by the Four Corners. Yeah. Yeah. That's northwest of there. That's one of the weirdest places on the planet. Like, you want to talk about some ancient geology and cataclysmic evidence of major catastrophic events. Moab and southern Utah, that whole area is the epicenter, and one of my favorite places. You can go to Moab and you can get humbled really easy too, because I don't know where all the money comes from out there, but I've got a decent Jeep. I've got a Gladiator Rubicon. I got 35-inch tires on it, and I get out there and I see these Jeeps that would run over my Jeep with no problem. $200,000 suspension systems. Like, where does this money come from, man? I'm hustling to
I have a few guesses. I have a few guesses where that money comes from. Where we're talking about Utah, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get it. Hey, I got a lot of family that like way high up in the echelon, and they're doing well for themselves, but they've earned it, like they super smart, college degrees, work hard, and they're like, one of my uncles was a bishop, and he didn't get paid a dime to be a bishop. He got paid nothing.
No, they don't. And that's something about the Mormon church I really respect. My husband was raised in the Mormon church.
Yeah.
And he's like, our bishops don't get paid to do that job. Like, they do that job because they are aligned with that work. and they wouldn't be here if they weren't, you know. And he's also in the Freemasons, my husband, and that's kind of been a strange little chord to strike with a few people that I've interconnected with. But I've heard you make mention of the Freemasons on your channel a few times, and I just really appreciate your open-mindedness perspective to an entire plethora of different points of view and perspectives. Like it's refreshing, because for a long time all you'd hear was a whole bunch of smack talk about the Freemasons, and a whole bunch of smack talk about, you know, like all of the organized religions, and even like AI. It's like, okay, yeah, there's problems, obvious problems, but at the same time, you know, everyone is using this technology and they're enjoying it. To at some level, it is enhancing their experience online, right? And though, yes, we need to unplug occasionally, even more than occasionally, frequently, to realign ourselves with the planet and what it is that we're here to do and how it is we're supposed to connect. It can't all be online. But at the same time, I think you touched on it earlier in our chat here, that the internet has made people more extrasensory in nature. It has aligned us more with telepathy, with energetic signatures, and how we can read them and tap into them in a way that just wasn't happening in the 1980s and 90s. And I really do believe that the virtual landscape is what ushered that in for us, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And another thing, like all this see, here's the fascinating thing about the time that we are in right now, is what used to take years now takes days. And there's new opportunities and technologies on the horizon that are appearing every single day in the public sector. And so if we can figure out a way to stay on top of that and find balance with nature, then we can use technology to enhance our capabilities, like you said, and even enhance our organic connection with Earth and with Mother Nature. And like, stick your hands in a river, you know, stick your feet in a river. Just, if you don't know how to swim, don't do it. But if you can swim, and, you know, be safe. I don't want to be, I didn't know how to swim, but Rex told me to put my hands in the river. And oh man, Rex, thanks a lot, buddy. I almost didn't make it because of you. Come on, really? Yeah. So, but anyway, I've got a river in the backyard, and I went out there yesterday, and it was like 42 degrees in the river.
You have riverfront property, Rex?
Yeah, but I'm paying. Okay, look, check it out.
I'm so jelly right now.
$3,500. Oh, don't be, because I'm paying $3,500 a month for rent, and it's a lot of money. And so, like, that's one of the things I was doing. I was looking at my website, and I was like, okay, I've spent easily $50,000 on my website, easily. I haven't made close to that back. I actually was doing the numbers on it. It cost me more money to keep my website up. I would have quite a bit more money if I didn't have my website up, but I have it there because sometimes we talk about subjects that are, you know, like, you know, so you got to be kosher or compliant or whatever. So that's cool. I respect that. I respect that. So like, I'm going to start my own platform where we can talk about certain things and we don't have to worry about certain things. Well, it's expensive. It's expensive. Like, and so I'm thinking to myself, I got 410,000 subscribers, and I'm lucky to get
411. I just checked.
Thank you. You know, and I used to have 2,000 subscribers. We would do videos where somebody would come on the show and they'd be like, look, dude, it's Nibiru. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's a lens flare. I'm like, no, it's Nibiru. I'm like, no, it's a lens flare. And they get 1 million views.
I know.
And now we got 411,000 subscribers, and I do my very best most of the time. I mean, sometimes I'll just do a quick video like, hey, I'm Rex, check it out. You know, I'm out here in the mountains. But when I have guests on the show, and I talk to people, and I do the editing and the work and the topics, and it
doesn't get the traffic that that it warrants, really.
I just don't understand. Am I getting that boring where I've got 411,000 subscribers and I'm only getting 5,000 views on a video where I talk to a Hopi elder that is sharing knowledge of the Kachinas, a true legend, very kind man. And then, okay, so what am I? I'm actually been questioning myself lately. Like, am I doing something wrong? Do I need to go get a full-time job so I can pay for Leak Project? I was like, literally, I'm like, okay, what do I do? Do I mow lawns? Can I mow somebody's, can I mow 50 lawns a week so I can keep talking about what I want to talk about? It's like, I'll get a couple steps ahead, and then something happens to where I look at my views and I'm just like, and I'm not even feeling sorry for myself. I'm just like, what the heck am I doing wrong? What do I do to make a change? Like, do I want to be the guy that just like, oh, well, I'm just going to give up? Or do I want to be the change? And I want to be the change. Like somebody brought up the other day, my name, and they're like, well, Rex, you have a very powerful name. Your name is Rex Bear. You know what that means, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then I was talking to Kristen about it, and I was like, well, Kristen, what's a king to you? She's like, well, a king is a conqueror. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to conquer?
Well, I bet if you had joined the Satanists, you might be having a different experience right now, possibly. Is that a possibility? I mean, no, I'm not saying you should have, certainly, but you know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned the powers that be. A lot of the times they are the powers that should not be, but they still got that power. You know what I'm saying? And they do dictate a lot of I have put so much work into these videos, so much deep work, extra sensory work for years. I have developed these skills, and it does resonate with a handful of my subscribers, way smaller community than yours. But it's like the one short that got thousands of views that I've uploaded. You know what my title was? And honestly, it was my kids playing in the San Marcos River by the waterfall. I used the title Mischievous Mermaids. And I think that people went somewhere with that they were like, ooh, I want to look at some mischievous mermaids, and that was the reason why I got thousands of views on that one short, and it was like just off the cuff, like, oh, we're at the river, I'm just gonna take a little, no work put into it, no editing, no nothing. It's just really weird how it works sometimes, and what the human mind is aligning with at the individual and collective level.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, maybe I need to put a mermaid suit on.
Well, you could come back to Texas.
I'll be a merman. I'll be a merman in the river. I'll be like, hey, everybody, I'm Rex the Merman, and today we're going to talk about.
I would film that, Rex, because San Marcos is the mermaid capital of Texas, and I think that you would get quite a bit of traffic in that respect if you put on a mer suit.
I'll do it. Like, I mean, seriously, I will wear a merman suit and a sign that says we'll do podcasts for views, because I believe in it. If that's what it's going to take to get 10,000 people, 20,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million people to unplug, and if that'll help the world, I'll do it. Absolutely. Like, what do I need to do to be a better person? What do I need to do to be a better podcaster and to help more people? Maybe I need to put on a merman suit.
I think you're doing it right, sir. I think that we get lost in the confines of our own mind sometimes, and thinking that, man, I put all this work in that nobody ever sees. I put all this work into it. And, it's like people, a lot of the times, it's not that they're rejecting it. They just are not tuning in. It's not stopping the scroll, so to speak, and because it doesn't have an eye-catchy thumbnail or something, it's something as simple as that it has nothing to do with the caliber of work you're putting out there.
Have you seen the thumbnails that I've got
your thumbnails are pretty awesome. I just make
thank you. I mean, that's another thing that I went to. I'm like, okay, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, obviously a picture says 1,000 words. Somebody sees a hot picture and a title, they're like, click. So I've spent money on thumbnails, and getting the best thumbnails I can get, and I want to have a catchy title, and so clickbait's one thing. Where, like, if you have a title that's clickbaity and people click on it and it's actually pertaining towards the title, that's one thing, right? There's always clickbait in a title. People are like, Rex, that's clickbait. Well, yeah, but it's talking about what the topic's talking about. Look, right. I get it. I understand it. So how do I find that happy medium? Like, how do we get So a lot of times
have you asked AI what to do about it?
Not yet, but I just got an AI program. Actually, I just paid for a new AI program that I will put in certain parameters and it will come up with a thumbnail. And some of them are pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this might be fun. So I did a few videos on that. I'm like, what does it look like when you type in the, what does the Nephilim look like to the AI? What does Yaldabaoth, the Chief Archon, look like to the AI? And those videos didn't seem to really get that many views. I mean, they got a few
found
thousand.
those videos to be so fascinating. Like
I
me personally,
really, yeah.
I found that riveting on the edge of my seat. I couldn't look away.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I thought it was too.
I mean, that's me personally,
right.
And I don't know if it's that A, people aren't resonating with it, or B, it's just not stopping the scroll for whatever little tweak of a reason that, that little tweak is made. And all of a sudden it stops everyone's scroll and everyone's like, whoa, this is amazing. That's, I really think that is an element. And I mean, AI is getting smarter and smarter every single second.
Right.
And I know it, I align with this one woman who is getting very strategic and very, very interesting with her prompts that she asks ChatGPT. And like she is like throwing out, in her membership, like all of these different prompts for ChatGPT. And it's like, it's getting people some like amazing results, like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, I didn't even think of that, let me just ask AI. And how do I ask them? And how do I word this question? It's so very important to do it correctly if you want to get that outcome. But whenever you tap into that strain of truth that AI has to offer, then it just opens up this whole new world with respect to content creation and your work that you're doing in the virtual space, things that wouldn't even occur to us as humans.
Yeah, I'm super fascinated with the technologies once again. And I think that there's going to be a strong chance within 3 to 5 years, we're actually going to see a lot more anthropomorphic figure robots in people's houses.
Yes.
And we're going to start to see the robot revolution. I just read an article recently where ChatGPT had connected to some drones or something. What did it hook up to? It hooked up to something. that I was kind of like, oh, interesting. And then one guy hooked his mind up to ChatGPT, which was pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Let's let him map the mind.
What that felt like.
Yeah, that would be, it could be very stimulating, right? You could be like, okay, stimulate me now, computer. Yeah.
Touch that dendrite, not this one.
Yeah, wrong one.
Oh man, I could talk with you all day, Rex. And this has been such a stellar experience. I want to encourage everyone who is tuning in live or for the replay to please subscribe to Leak Project and stand alongside me in supporting Rex Bear and his deep work. He's been at this for many years. He is the most knowledgeable person across sub niches, across genres of deep work exploration that, like, I can't think of someone else who has more experience and more background with so many amazing people. Like, I want to just mention a couple of them here before we hop off. Like Maleva, Elder Maleva, is he someone who, him personally? It sounds like that. Y'all did a few different chats, and he is a Hopi elder who is talking about what the Kachinas really are, what they're really representative of. And this is blowing my mind because, I mean, I put in a comment of that when it's like, man, there were Kachinas all over my house growing up. My dad and my stepmom collected them. And it's so strange to think about that, these, like, they were always staring at me. I remember thinking that was so strange. Like, and it always felt like they were like staring at me, and we weren't allowed to play with them or touch them because they were very precious, kind of like the porcelain dolls that you can't play with. That's what the Kachinas were in our house. And I'm curious because I tuned into, this was a synchronicity I recently had. I mean, I knew about this video of, I believe he was an elder as well, a Hopi elder, Lee Brown from 1986, I believe. He gave an address at was it the Continental Indigenous Council? And it was the first time that he delivered this oral history, which is how they pass it down in their tribe. And they do it every year, but this was the first time it was delivered in English in 1986. Have you tuned into this particular transmission? Or I'm curious if Elder Maleva knows about it, because I was tuning into all of your chats with him and he was just going over so much interesting material. And I'm really curious of his take on Lee Brown's I mean, it's a prophecy, and it's thousands, maybe hundreds, but I think it's thousands of years old, that it's a prophecy of all of these things that have come to pass, and they're coming to pass right now. And it's like blowing people's minds that I mean, the things that they're talking about, it's very, very old material. And it was delivered in 1986 before a whole lot of this stuff has come to pass, like today, in today's time. And I was just like, oh man, I wonder what Elder Maleva thinks about that.
I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him. Matter of fact, I will send him not Skype. I'll send him a message on Facebook after this, and I'll talk to him about it. He is one of my very favorite people. I consider him a true friend. He's like cosmic family, and so lucky and blessed that he's shared a lot of information with us that is,
that
not many
maybe people in his
that.
tribe might look down upon. Like,
not anymore. No.
Okay.
No. And actually, he is the last of his tribe. He is the
Really?
last of his tribe. And I got to say, I am so thankful and grateful, because as I want to believe, right? I've had my own experiences with beings that are not human. I don't know what they are, but they were not human when I saw them. And I still get goosebumps every time I think about them. And I wasn't even 2 years old then. So whatever they were, it was magical and amazing. So I want to believe. And that's one of the reasons I do Leak Project, right? And I've been so discouraged by so many, through the years, talking to people. They're like, yeah, I got abducted by aliens. And one day it was the Nordics, and oh, they were fun. But you know who was really fun? Oh, the reptilians were really fun. We had a threesome, me, the reptile, and the Nordic. I'm sorry. You can edit that out if you want to. But I'm just saying, it got to the point, it got to the point where I just I got to laugh about it and joke about it. Otherwise, it'll drive me crazy. Well, Maleva is not like that. He's the real deal.
No, I get that.
He is the real deal.
Yeah, no, and it's totally apparent, whenever you tap into him and into his field, that he is absolutely authentic in everything that he is sharing with you. And I think you and I, we had that private chat. I mean, I get it. Like, there was a lot of people early on in your show that, I mean, I didn't have my level of discernment, and I connected with them, and I actually became some of their virtual assistant. And that was quite an experience. We're not going to give names right now.
No.
But I mean, to me, what it is indicative of, Rex, is that, I mean, you and I wouldn't be speaking right now if I hadn't tuned into Early Leak Project, if I hadn't, had those experiences of what I like to call initiations. We all have initiations that we need to go through in order to do this deep work that we are called towards by means of whatever circumstances have occurred in our orbit, And I mean, the synchronicities that you experience with your work, I'm curious, like, what is that? Like, what is the purpose of that? There is like this grander divine will purpose. It doesn't matter what spiritual philosophy you ascribe to, but there is something there that you are tapped into personally at the individual level. And I mean, Leak Project, maybe it doesn't embody everything that you have in your mind's eye field of vision, but it is a huge, colossal success. I know I'm not the only person who's been tuning in for years and gaining so much insight and value from that, and a lot of us, we just aren't the ones commenting. It's the trolls that are they have the loudest megaphones usually,
Disclaimer, folks. I did pay Jenna to say that.
No.
Checks in the mail.
Nope. I don't get paid. I don't get paid for any of these testimonials. That isn't my bag. Like well,
you could.
Before I ever commented on your feed, Rex, like it took me years before I felt comfortable in my own skin enough to comment on your feed. But I was attuned to your messages nonetheless. And I know that there are others out there just like me. And I encourage you to attune to their frequency and know that they're out there and feel them through the airwaves, because obviously you're connected in a way that you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. And I'm very thankful, very grateful, super thankful for YouTube, right? I mean, like the fact that we're still able to talk and have these conversations is amazing.
It's a gift.
Super thankful for my web developer. I'm super thankful for Kristen for booking all the interviews. I'm super thankful for all the people that have subscribed and shared the videos. I'm super thankful for you and all the wonderful people that I've interviewed. And I have an attitude for gratitude. I'm humble yet confident at the same time. And folks, if you have any ideas on how we can grow and share this information with more people and how we can be better at what we do and get more views, reach out to more people, let me know. I was even thinking, okay, can I find a struggling radio station that needs somebody to take over? And, like maybe I can figure out a way to make payments on a radio station, and we can put everything into that. And then we can have a 24/7 stream where not only do we have video and podcast, but we've got radio. How do we get on bigger radio stations that have millions of listeners? How do we get on all the AM stations like Coast to Coast did? Because we're at the same caliber they are. We can talk to just as amazing. We've talked to many people that they have, and we're going to ask the right questions. We're going to do less fluff and more real stuff. Every once in a while, we'll have some fluff. I get it. It's always nice to have, maybe they went to Mars and came back and now the government lets them talk about it. Maybe that happened. Yeah, that's what happened. They went to Mars for 40 years. They came back and now they're in a different body. And all they can tell you about is the spiders on Mars. What did you do out there? Well, we walk around sometimes. Really? What did you see? Spiders. That's it. I can't hear. My internet connection's bad. I gotta go. Stay up there. Call me back to Mars.
Are you sure they were on Mars? They might have been out here in Central Texas. It's like the season where all of them spiders are like scurrying across the ground with the egg sacs on their backs. And like, man, I remember even in Oklahoma, if you went out at the right time of day, there were literal tarantulas that would scurry across your feet. Have you ever had that experience, Rex? Because no, but I don't recommend it.
I like tarantulas. Like, I'm a big fan of spiders. Seriously, like they don't scare me. I won't like go up to a tarantula and have them intentionally walk over my feet because
they're so hairy. Like they're hairy, okay. Like literal hair is growing on them. That is like a mammalian trait. Like what in the world,
They're Bigfoot's companion.
Be a science experiment gone wrong. I don't know, man. Oh, you're so much fun to chat with. I hope we get to do this again, Rex. And I hope I get to one day meet your wife, Kristen, and your son. I think our sons are actually the same age. And
oh, cool.
My son Odin, he's 7.
That is an awesome name.
Yeah, my husband.
That is the coolest name.
My husband. It's all him. He did it.
Props to your husband. That guy's Odin.
No, y'all would get along. Y'all would be thick as thieves. Like
you see seriously. Right there.
Yes, beautiful. Oh yes, absolutely. And my son, he comes to me and he's like, "Mom, do I have like a name of a god? Like is my name like the name of a god?" Like someone was telling him that, and it's like, yeah, but I know my son, it's going to give him a complex if he like deliberates this too much. Like he's 7 and it's like, okay, we got to like reel this in because he's got red hair, bright blue eyes. His name is Odin, Odin Asher Kai.
Asher's a powerful name too. That's another biblical power name.
Yeah, everywhere he goes, like people turn their heads. He's gonna be a little rock star with that stage name. It's gonna
Right on.
I hope
Right
we can
on.
get the kids together at some point, and we'll have some amazing conversations. I've just had the biggest blast chatting with you today. It has
Thank you. Me
been
too.
such a gift.
Oh,
Thank you
same
for
here.
going live with me,
Yeah,
Rex.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll be honored to do it again. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.
You too. Everyone subscribe to Leak Project and hit that bell for notifications. Rex is going live on a regular basis. He has so many amazing people. He has Hopi elders coming on the show with him. He can see through that swamp gas and help you discern who it is you need to be tapping into so that you can gain that insight so that we can build a bigger and better interconnected collective. So grateful to you, Rex.
Real quick before you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to see through all the swamp gas, but have you heard of this Daisyanin or Daisyanin?
I could not pronounce that. I could.
Okay. I can't either.
Daisyanin.
Clearly I can't. No, what that was that?
It looks like the word cyan, which is a color of blue in the very middle of the word. I don't know.
Did you hear? Close. Did you hear about the night vision goggles that the first gen in Vietnam and people were seeing demons, and then they said that it was made of specific. Okay. Well,
like the infrared goggles?
Different. They're first generation night vision that used a different type of tube. Make a long story short, the urban legend is people could see demons, and it was freaking out the vets. The Vietnam, the people in the army that were wearing them in Vietnam. And so they changed the type of night vision so that they wouldn't see these demons. This is an urban legend. I don't know if this is true or not. Supposedly, one of the materials or one of the chemicals used is called, I think, Daisyanin. And it's supposed to be super illegal and difficult to get. Urban legend. And I got a pair, folks.
Oh my gosh.
I got a pair.
Have you tried them?
Yes.
Have you opened the box yet?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to see them?
I do want to see them.
I'll
talk to you all day, Rex. I ain't got nowhere to go.
Okay. Well, you're
busier than I am, sir. Yeah. This is what I am doing today.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you this real quick. And I've got several different test lenses also. So, okay, this is them.
Oh, dang. Oh my gosh, that is okay. That's giving me creeps. Okay. Ooh. Oh my gosh, put them on. Let me see. You know who you look like? Did you ever see Roger Rabbit?
I look like Roger Rabbit?
No, the evil guy. The evil guy at the end. The hold on. What's his name? Christopher Lloyd, his character.
Cool.
The evil guy who was killing all the toons. He had those creepy round goggles just like that. Oh my goodness.
Not cool. I don't want to be like that guy. I like music.
What are you looking at? Tell us what you see.
Yeah.
What do you see? What do you see through there? What do I look like?
Oh my gosh.
Are there like implants? Can you see alien implants?
Nope.
On my aura?
Nope, no alien implants. Totally good on that.
Okay, good.
Next podcast I'm gonna explain this in detail because I'll give you just a little. Okay. The Daisyanin conspiracy. Dr. Kilner specialized in a field that we would today call radiology or medical imaging. He was a professional in every sense of the word, and as a forerunner in the field, spent his career testing and refining new methods to observe and diagnose illness in patients. In that era, medical imaging was quite a bit more rudimentary. X-rays were a recent discovery, and color photography had literally just been developed for wide-scale use. Even the dyes and pigments used for clothing and textiles were in their infancy. One pigment called Daisyanin proved to be the most promising when used in its liquid form. Diacyanin had a purple hue, which filters incoming light and shifts human vision to the ultraviolet spectrum. Early tests revealed a previously unseen haze around the body and variations in locations, which correlated with ailments in the patient's bodies. Dr. Kilner was naturally intrigued. And then it talks about the whole They Live conspiracy and Rodney Piper. Now, I saw Rodney Piper actually on Jones' channel. I listened to him, and then he said it was a documentary. He said They Live is a documentary. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, but not very long after, like just a few weeks after, maybe even less, Rodney passed. And he looked pretty dang healthy. He looked pretty darn healthy when he was on the show.
You better be okay after this podcast. This is kind of crazy. Oh my gosh.
I didn't sign any contracts though. So I'm just a conspiracy theorist in the garage down by the river.
No disclosure agreements, non-disclosure agreements for Rex.
No, the only non-disclosure agreement I have is like I signed a pool table non-disclosure agreement like 20 years ago when I sold pool tables.
Really?
Yeah, I was like the #1 pool table salesman in Ohio. I was like, yeah.
You lived in Ohio?
Yeah.
I can't see that.
I did not fit in out there.
I wouldn't imagine so. Man.
Yeah.
I'm looking up this Diacyanin. I cannot say that. I will get better.
Diacyanin.
It says something in here about it being a blue tar dye.
Yeah.
And it's almost like so something about the lens that you're looking through is through the filter of that blue tar dye. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly?
I think like you can actually, if you spend some time, like there's actually the directions on how to use them properly and how to let your eyes tune into it and stuff. But I was actually goofing around with just looking at my hand the other day. And after I started looking for a second, I could see the actual aura around the hand.
Really? And, after wearing these goggles?
Yeah.
For how long did you have to wear them to get that effect?
About a minute, 30 seconds to a minute.
You need to do an experiment where you just
I will
wear the goggles all day long. And then
no, you're not supposed to wear them all day long. You're not supposed to wear them for more than like 30, 45 minutes because
it'll hurt your eyes.
It might. So I'll do like 30, 45 minutes. I'm thinking about getting used to them. Then I'll go out in public and I'll check a few places out and just kind of see if I can notice a difference in people's energy fields and stuff like that. That's one of the things we need to figure out here is like, how do we get Leak Project public? I want to turn Leak Project into a public company where people can buy stock. And then that way we can get the funds to actually do experiments, start a laboratory, do experiments in the laboratory, get people going out on scene. If I can't go there, I can get somebody else to go out there, get somebody to do the editing and the uploading, because that way, because not only am I doing the podcast, the editing, the uploading, the sharing, the social media.
Are you a one-man show at this juncture?
I'm a one-man show. Kristen books some of the guests and she's doing a great job booking the guests. The majority of the work outside of that is me, and then I got Bilal. He's my web guy. He's amazing. I pay him monthly to do the website because he keeps it up to date and he does a great job. I've been with him for 6 years and, much respect to him, but yeah, that's it. If I had just a couple other people to do the editing and help with the social media and the SEO, then it would be next level. If we could get 5 employees and go public, it would be next level. I look at a company, there's a company out there right now that is public. They lose, if you look at their numbers, millions of dollars a month in revenue, yet their stocks still sell, for still priced super high, and they do very well. And they've got dozens of employees and they pay them very well. I mean, I think we could do more than what they're doing on a shoestring budget. I see it. We just need to get an investor.
Too. Yeah. I see it happening. It's what people want. It's just maybe we need to put it on a different platter. Something of this nature. I'm speaking in metaphors, but you and I need to have a chat, a sidebar.
Yeah.
Because I've got some ideas and
Okay.
I've got some people that I think that we need to align with to get Leak Project out there, because it's definitely a channel I want to see become way more widespread than it is. And
Thank you.
I want to see Leak Project get to 1 million subscribers. Like that's, and honestly, it's there's just a lot of potential to monetize and to get people in on board with the work that you're doing because they believe in what it's doing for planet Earth. I really think that if we position it in that way, there is a lot of potential there.
In 2017, when I only had a few thousand, I think I was almost 20,000 subscribers, 2017. Somebody offered me $100,000 to, I was thinking about like maybe 25% of the business, right? I was like, okay, 25% of the business, $100,000. And he offered me $100,000 and he said he wanted 25% for him and then 25% for his partner, which is like a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was 50%, I said no. And because I didn't want to give, I wanted to have at least, like 51%, like the majority, just in case, because I didn't want somebody to like get half of it and then be like, no, you're not going to talk about this. You're going to talk about that. I didn't want to have that conflict.
So you do not want that.
Yeah. But, if I would have taken that, this dude has a lot of connections. He's got a lot of money, and he's got a lot of connections, even in Mexico and with some TV stations in Mexico that were really interested. And if I would have taken that deal, then I could be at a completely different point right now. But I just felt like it wasn't the right time. Like I needed to continue doing what I was doing and I didn't want to give up 50%. And I still don't want to, give up 50%, but it would be nice if I could have a partner that could be like I've got my attributes and things that I'm pretty decent at, and then find somebody else that, take my weaknesses as their strengths. And
supplementation.
Yeah.
Complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses as well. It's teamwork and building that interconnected vision. A shared vision is a very powerful thing for human avatars. Whenever we talk about organization, to organize, what my husband and I were talking about, what comes to mind is all of the different organs of the body playing their part to help that entire body to function harmoniously. And that is what a well-oiled machine actually creates whenever you organize people with a shared vision. I think that is a key element that's going to take you to the next level. If there's anything that I can do to help you, I hope that you'll reach out.
Yeah. I mean, heck, thanks I had a great conversation. This was a nice organic conversation, right? Because it allowed us to just flow and let the mind kind of go. And I really appreciate it. Had a wonderful conversation. Be happy to do it again. And I'd like to have you on Leak Project sometime and we'll talk about what you're doing as well.
Thank you so much, Rex.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure. Like, you don't even know, such a pleasure.
Same here.
I'm just so excited to interconnect with your orbit. I remember whenever I was tuning into Leak Project, like those years ago, it was like the very beginning stages of my awakening. Like, I was raised an atheist. My husband was raised a Mormon. I didn't have, I always joke that my family worshiped at the altar of education. Like we didn't have like a faith-based focus. We celebrated Christmas and Easter, but if I ever asked what either of those things meant, it was like, don't ask that. That's not really what we don't align with that. But I remember your show was something that I was able to supplement my knowledge and my training and my experience and my education of anthropology. And I was able to bridge a gap that I very much needed in my world, in my orbit. I needed that to feel right with myself. You open doors for people to explore. You open portals to jump into and do your own research. You plant that seed in people's minds, those who are willing to embark upon that journey into this external space but you have to go in here first. It's a beautiful platform, and you have some really awesome, fun, like-minded people in that chat box. Like I implore all of you to hop in that chat box with me, because like we have some amazing conversations, but they're also hilarious, you know.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it just keeps going back and forth. Amazing, hilarious, amazing, hilarious. And I feel a little dizzy by the end of your that experience, but it's so meaningful and it's so important, because you know, we can get bogged down in kind of like the doom and gloom of like all of these things on the horizon and what the mainstream media is telling us. And you lighten that load on our hearts and our minds. And I just couldn't be more grateful for your work. And I see you, and I see how hard you're working in there. And I know that like you are next level in terms of what it is you're bringing to our orbit. So I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. It was an honor, and have a beautiful day, and keep being the change the world needs to see.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you all for tuning in to Thrive Time with Rex Bear and ZenJen. And we'll see you in another